Okay, so today I've got the pleasure of being joined by Shivashni. So Shivashni was the recent recipient of the Safeguard Emerging Practitioner of the Year. So congratulations for that. You've been, I believe, working in safety for about 10 years or so, with some pretty high-profile clients, so Fish and Paykel Healthcare, Auckland Airport, and obviously now with Ventia as a business partner there. So yeah, enjoying a really progressive career and making your mark, which is the key thing. Some random facts about Shivashni. So you've got, I believe you competed for United Nations in the past. And
yeah, I did. Yeah.
You did? Okay. And also you have a spare room in your house dedicated to scarves. So that's very decadent. So
I do, yes.
Okay. So I guess best way to kick this off, tell us a bit more about the recent award. So that was last month, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. So it still hasn't sunk in as of yet. But it is a great feeling, I suppose, in terms of being recognized for the hard work. Of course, working with our team, our project team here. It feels fantastic to be able to have some concrete process and systems in place to have achieved that award. But it has been a roller coaster, I must admit, from the nomination stage to the final stage and actually getting the award on that day. So it's been quite full on in terms of getting recognition from different people outside of the business, but also within the business, getting recognition with like head of health and safety from the Australian Ventia counterpart, from the CEO and stuff. So it's been good. It's been fantastic. It kind of puts you like your mark on health and safety, which has been great.
Yeah. That's great to get the recognition, and obviously well deserved there. And pretty exclusive group. So you got you and Gareth now, and a few others now. So it's good to be part of that. So I guess if we kind of go back to the start of things, is probably the best way to look at it. How did you originally get into safety? What kind of drew you towards the industry?
So my first sort of real exposure for health and safety was when I attached myself to Center for Occupational Health and Safety Research, which is part of AUT. And I was just in the midst of finishing my studies when one of my lecturer approached me to support them in the Pike River coal mine investigation. So we had to do a lot of compiling of materials for the investigation to be passed on to Royal Commission. We also did a lot of investigation in terms of what the law looks like in the UK and Australia.
Yeah.
Because I know that Australia was well ahead in terms of having their own WorkSafe equivalent over there in their legislation. So it's the fantastic thing for me was that it put health and safety in context. In terms of thinking about health and safety for people, not just the process and documentations. So I guess my sort of that's how I kind of stepped into that health and safety space, was to help with health and safety documentation, understanding our health and safety laws in New Zealand, but also working with a few key people from Royal Commission and from the union's perspective. So that's how I kind of get into health and safety, and it was a very great and challenging exposure for me.
Yeah, it's a huge area to be involved in for your first kind of experience in the industry, really. So
yeah,
good. Okay, and so I'm sure you're sort of seeing yourself. Certainly over the last few years, there's been a lot of changes in the industry. Is there anything that sort of stands out to you at the moment in terms of things that you've seen change over the last few years?
Yes, of course. So I think previously there was a lot of focus on documentations and processes and system, and everything was very compliant based, and everything was about auditing. What has changed, which is positive, is actually now there's more engagement with workers on the ground floor. There's more systems and processes designed with the workers rather than not taking workers into account, not understanding their risks and hazard or their work. So that's a positive change. The other positive change is there seem to be more, I guess, in terms of leadership from the top people in health and safety, and that shift in culture. Of course, we've got a long way to go to change that, but I'm starting to see that shift where people in management role are taking more accountability or responsibility around health and safety, leading by example, and safety being number one priority for them. So those are the two main things that I've seen change over the years. Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of picking up a couple of things there. It's a bit more around society professionals being focused on how they engage and influence workers, and then also raising awareness with leadership teams and probably coaching them to a certain extent. Is that sort of fair to say?
I think that is fair to say. I can tell from what I've seen specifically in our business in Ventia that a lot of our project directors are taking more responsibility and more interest in health and safety and taking it a bit more seriously. But we're also getting a lot of engagement from our field force and working with our field force together rather than having that separation between sort of managers and workers. It's more of a two-way conversation now, so which is really positive.
Yeah, definitely. And what are the from your perspective, what are the big challenges facing the industry at the moment? Is that something you're able to comment on?
Well, I think to be honest, there's a lot of challenges. There's going to be challenges in every business. I believe it's in every business. You can look at a challenge in a negative way or in a positive way. I would say that the challenge is to also raise the level of health and safety behaviors. That could always be a challenge for a business, but we're working towards improving that sort of culture and sort of behavior out in the field. We just don't want health and safety to be a conversation that you have in meeting rooms or toolbox, but we want to see that conversation out in the field, and those safety behaviors or mentality out in the field. So that's one of the challenge, but it's a good challenge. I think there's an opportunity to sort of do a lot of work in that space, engage with our field force in that space, and also our management in that space.
Yeah, and I guess that way it's owned by operations and it's lived and breathed, and hopefully you see improvements.
Correct. I've seen a lot of improvement with our operation managers or our field managers in terms of how they engage with our field force on the ground. And it's a positive engagement, two-way communication, understanding both sides of the story and resolving issues. So we've come a long way, and it is creating some momentum, I guess, with our projects.
Okay, all right, good, thank you. And how would you like to see, I guess, the industry as a whole really develop over the next few years? What can you see happening there? What would you like to see happen there?
That's a fantastic question. So I would like to sort of see the business in general moving towards where we're more system-based rather than sort of paper-based. A lot of industries have moved towards a digital platform, which makes, I guess, things easier for the field force, but making health and safety simple and easy to understand. Okay. So the type of language that I guess yourself or myself would be used to from a health and safety perspective would not be the same language that our field force are used to. So we want to make health and safety sort of 101, right? Health and safety should be 101, shouldn't be overcomplicated. So it'll be fantastic to see business. We are moving in that way, which is really, really fantastic. We've got some fantastic team working on some really creative ideas, but actually taking that ideas and moving it into the future But also what I technically want is health and safety should be something automatic. The behavior should be automatic. What we should do is be more proactive in terms of mitigating our risk, so that later on we're not so reactive, but more proactive in managing our risk. So we are reducing the level of harm in our business. And I think we've got a lot of opportunity to improve on a lot of things, and we've got a great team that sort of help improve systems and processes. So moving forward, hopefully everything is in a way that it becomes normal for everyone, normal behaviors, good positive behaviors out in the field. So that's what I would like to see in our organization sort of moving forward.
Okay, brilliant. I guess the final question I've got for you is around probably some of the challenges that we have as health and safety recruiters. We're really keen to see new people coming into the industry, and to encourage that as best we can. But what kind of advice would you have for people who want to step into health and safety now? If you could speak to yourself a few years ago.
Yeah, so I guess being young in health and safety is always going to be a challenge, because you're dealing with a more mature workforce out there and more mature organizations. So, a lot of mentalities are around, oh, we've been doing this for a very long time. Why is this young person coming to tell us what we need to do? I've never sort of pictured myself as saying, oh, you need to do things this way. I've always kind of pitched myself to understand how our guys do their work, what is their hazard and risk, and then sort of filter in saying this is a safe way of doing practices. For a young person coming into this industry, I think it's positive, because we need more young people, especially young people can bring a lot of fresh ideas, fresh perspective at looking at health and safety, and creative ideas. You have to be quite strong, I suppose, when you enter into the health and safety field, you have to deal with so many challenges, and dealing with people can be quite a challenge also. But it'll be positive to see more young female entering health and safety. It'll be good to see sort of that balanced out. But I think it's positive to have more young people coming into health and safety, to be really change drivers and improve organizational health and safety. So I would encourage young people to actually come into the health and safety environment.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Shows a lot about how you influence people and how you talk to them, sure, day to day.
Yeah,
that's great. Okay, well that pretty much wraps everything up. But it's been great talking to you, and thanks for the insight. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do a few more of these with some other safety practitioners in New Zealand and overseas. But that has been great. We'll get a scarf in the post to you, so you can add it to the collection.
I've been told not to buy any more scarves.
Scarves, right. Well, have a great day, and thanks so much for your time.
You too, Duncan. Appreciate your time.